Hi Gemini, welcome to your monthly tarot reading with me, Raphael Ray from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as always. So, yeah, happy May, and you know, let's go straight into it. So before we start, I would like to bless both of these decks with all forms of love, like peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's see what your actions and your interactions in the world at large have to say in the month of May. Okay, so you get the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is usually an air sign male, so this would be an Aquarius, a Gemini, just like you. Actually, I would say that this is you coming up in your own right, whether you're male or female. So yeah, a Gemini, a Gemini, an Aquarius, or a Libra. Because this is the King of Swords. The King of Swords is an air sign, usually an air sign male. Now, the thing is about the court cards as well is they can often represent archetypes of ourselves. Now, when you think about the King of Swords, this is somebody that is usually at the height of their game, somebody that's very smart, somebody that's very learned. When it represents somebody that's not us, it usually talks about somebody that's very older. When I say very older, somebody that's very mature, somebody that has a really strong authoritative presence. This is about somebody who has nothing to prove to anybody, somebody that knows themselves, owns themselves 100%. It's also the card of lawyers, policemen, doctors, you know, somebody that's really achieved a level of status, somebody that's really achieved a state of being that puts them in authority or some kind of power. And the fact that this is about your actions and your interactions with the world at large kind of says to me that this month, it's not just about stepping into your power, but it's about communicating that out to the world. So, you know, this is actually as well you making the decision, because your actions and your interactions is what you do. It's what you choose to decide to do. It's, you know, it's what you choose to decide to do. It's what you... it's about the steps that you are actually going to take. It's about the actions that you are now willing and wanting to start to implement in your life. Now, the thing about the swords is as well, they represent choices. They represent, you know, making the decision. They represent communication. They represent interaction on a communicative level. So the fact that this is in your actions means that this is the month where you really start to decide, actually, this is, you know, I want to take a step in this direction. I want to be seen for this. I want to be known for that. If there is a job that you've had your eye on, this will be the month where you really start to cultivate the attitude and a lot of the communications that you need to in order to make this happen. You know, this is about building the bridge to get from where you are to where you want to be. You know, and the other thing about the King of Swords is as well, usually this is a very beneficial person that comes into your life. If it's not somebody that you know already, it's somebody that you are going to interact with, somebody that will literally physically you know, in the material world, cross your path to aid you, to help you, to support you in some way, shape or form in achieving the things that you want to achieve, in creating the things that you want to create for yourself. I love the King of Swords. If it were, you know, obviously you're a Gemini, so this is you coming up in, you know, in your own reading. This is an aspect of self that is ready now to take on the mantle. This is an aspect of self that's ready to say, actually, you know what, I'm ready and willing to do what I need to do in order to grow into this maturity, into this position that I want. If you have your eyes set on a promotion, if you have your eyes set on a specific job, if you have, you know, your eyes set on any form of study as well, this is really a great month for you to do so, because what you start in this time is, you know, is very much about you kind of pushing on and pushing towards something that really puts you in a level of status. The other thing about the King of Swords is as well, if you were to represent him as an actual sign, this would be the sign of Aquarius, which is a fellow air sign to you. So you know, you have that double hit of that energy. You've got this real spark and knack for communication anyway, because that's what Geminis are all about. But this month you're able to take it from just being a social butterfly to being a professional butterfly, you know, and really managing to build something, you know, substantial, even if it's just the way that you're seen for now, so that you lay the foundations for people to come in, you know, so that, or even for people to see you at a distance and say, actually, you know what, that's the sort of person that I want in this job, that's the sort of person that I want to support. So yeah, very, very interesting. Let's see what your money and your materials have to say. You got the Hermit card. So interesting, because the Hermit card is represented by the sign of Virgo, and Virgo's all about being meticulous. It's all about doing the work. It's all about being, you know, fine-tuning something so that you get the absolute best out of it, and you leave away what is superfluous and what is effectively just the sludge or the crap that is just not needed. Now, the other thing about the Hermit card is it's the number 9, so it's all to do with completions. It's all to do with endings. And your money and your materials could be anything from your home to your health, your physical body. It could also be your car that you own. It's all of those things. Everything, you know, from your finances right through to your materials that you use in your every single day life. Now, the Hermit card suggests a quest. It suggests you going on a search for something. Very often this isn't necessarily a physical journey, it's an inward one. And the fact that this is like the Virgo card, which is an earth card, and it falls in your money and your materials, which is your earth sector, is asking you to be really, really starting to hammer down and drill down into what you're spending your money on. What do you perceive that you need versus what you just want, and how to learn the difference between the two. And when you start to figure that out, you're going to start to make way for more abundance in your life. And the reason you're able to do that is because the Hermit card is allowing you to chop away what, you know, like if you're saying, oh, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this. This is the month where you're going to really start to get a handle on, do I need this or do I just want it? And what is the difference between the two? This is about you going inward to discover what it is that you actually need outward. And that's really good. I mean, it's a really good thing, because it means you're getting meticulous. It means you're getting particular about what you have in your space. You know, even though we're, you know, heading towards the end of spring quite quickly, this is also very much about you kind of looking deep into you know, to spring cleaning, letting go of what you don't need, letting go of things that are literally just superfluous. I know, you know, I'm an Aquarius, but just a month ago I went through the whole place and was like, right, have I used it in 6 months? Do I need it? Have I used it in, you know, is it just taking up space? Yes, it is. Get rid of it. And this is very much what it's going to be about. You're really clearing your space, you know, and by doing so on an internal level, you're going to start to need to change the external to match that. And that's very often the way that the best and most lasting changes work. You know, when you change things on an internal level, everything on an external level has to match that. And that's how the, you know, the law of abundance, the law of attraction works. Once you change your vibration, you can then start to attract and magnetize yourself to the things that you want. And this month you're getting very, very clear. And, you know, just like a Virgo, you're getting really, really precise. And I know you're a Gemini, but this is the card of Virgo. It has that experience, that has that energy, and it's asking you to get really meticulous about what is the difference between what you want and what you need. And when you know the difference, you will start to attract more of what you need in your life versus what you want. And that's where it comes down to the old adage when they say quality versus quantity. So your communications with the world at large this month, let's see what they have in store for you. Okay, so you've got the Six of Swords. For those of you that have had difficulties with, because the thing is, Gemini is a very communicative sign, and when you guys have communication that is difficult, you tend not to struggle, but I think it's more a case of you try to steer away from that because you're more light-hearted than that. However, especially with the retrogrades that just happened and probably the new moon, lots of Aries energy going on there, I can imagine that you guys have really had quite an intense time of it. And for any of the communications that you've had that have been difficult, for any of the communications that you've had that have really forced you to have to, you know, maybe bring out some of the battle self that, you know, isn't usually present in your communication, this is the month where you start to feel the easing of that. The Six of Swords talks about a journey away from difficult times. It talks about moving away from them, and it also talks about consciously doing so. It's about saying, so, you know, for anybody that you've had any upsets with, because this is the opposition here now, so you've got the King of Swords, this is you choosing to rise above something and go really into your higher mind about it. And this in your communications, which is the Six of Swords, a bit mind blank there, which is you choosing to move away from something. So it's like, you know what, let's bury the hatchet, you know what, let's agree to disagree. This is you really making a decision to say, look, you know what, we've had a difficult communication, we've had, maybe we've been at odds about something, maybe we've not, you know, seen eye to eye on something, and that's fine, but I'm choosing to be away from that now. It doesn't any longer serve me. I want to move away from that. And in doing so, you kind of own your power, you kind of own your communications and say, you know what, I want to go back to who I actually am. I'm done with this aspect of communication. Thank you, learn from it, move past it, and then just say to yourself and the other person, you know what, I'm ready to let that go now. So yeah, the end of difficult communications, which is always nice. And then finally, in your heart and your hearth, which is your romantic relationships and your familial and friendship ties, you have the now that's interesting turn of events, isn't it? Because I said you're already kind of moving away from this energy. So for those of you that are single, my advice to you would be this month, don't rush into something just for the sake of it. Enjoy what comes. It will be fast paced. Yeah, for those of you that are single, this is going to be kind of like a whirlwind romance. It will be something that comes in, stirs shit up, you know, fucks shit up, and then probably kind of fizzles out quite quickly. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you just need something to fire up those juices, to scratch those itches, and then kind of say, right, okay, that was good, but it's shown me, one, what I desire, and two, what I don't really want or need in my life. And that's always a good thing. For those of you in established relationships, this is asking you to think before you speak and discover what the middle of the toothpaste is for you. When I say the middle of the toothpaste, have you ever noticed some people will squeeze from the bottom and keep the tube nice and kept, and others, me, will just squeeze the damn tube onto the thing and really not worry about it. Now, depending on which side of the toothpaste you are, and how, you know, invested in those little things you are, you will get pretty annoyed quite quickly. The other thing, I guess, would be like leaving your towels on the floor. So you need to decide, you know what, am I going to nitpick and get wound up and upset and sort of snap back and clap back about every time somebody squeezes the wrong part of the tube of the toothpaste? And that's why I say the middle of the toothpaste stuff. Is this, you know, is it something that you really need to get so fired up or so passionate about? And I say that because the Knight of Swords talks about fast communication, but usually aggressive communication. And if you're in an established bond, I kind of feel this will be the month where it will be the little things that really kind of make you pop off. I remember seeing a meme, for those of you that are mums, and it says, you know, you see like a tube of empty toilet paper on the roll, and it says, if anyone asks when I'm at the hospital what happened to make me finally lose my shit, and you know, or something like that. And it very much is that. Sometimes when you've been dealing with a lot and then you get to the end of it and you're like, right, okay, I managed to deal with all of that, and then something really small and insignificant happens and you just absolutely lose your shit, and then everyone's like, okay, that was like the smallest thing. And this is why I say check what those little things are, and is it actually that thing that's bothering you, or is it something bigger, or is it the fact that you haven't released any of that stuff? And for that reason, I say to you, You know, the sun's just moved into Taurus. Get connected to your body. If you have a partner, get physical, get in the bedroom, work out some of that tension. Because when you work out some of that tension in that sort of way, the little things will tend not to bother you, you know, so much. This is asking you to make sure that the little things don't blow everything out of proportion. And in order to do so, it's kind of like you have to relieve your tension somehow. So for those of you that are single, that whirlwind romance in the month of May, absolutely brilliant idea, but don't expect it to come to too much, because there's nothing here that really suggests kind of grounding or concrete. I say that because you've got a lot of air here, which is, you know, air is transient, it's quick, it's fast, it's as thought is. And then you've only got really this bit of earth here, which is the Hermit card because it's the Virgo, but even then Virgo is the mutable earth sign. So, you know, you've got a lot of changing energy, you've got a lot of quick energy, but you don't necessarily have anything that is lasting in the month of May. So it would be an idea for you to kind of keep that in mind. For those of you in established bonds, discover what the middle of the toothpaste is for you, so that that middle of the toothpaste doesn't become a "we're getting divorced." Why? Because he squeezes the toothpaste at the wrong part of the tube. You know, it's not that, but I'm sure you get the drift. And then finally, for familial stuff, you know, it's the same. For those of you that are parents, speak to your kids and explain to them what it is that they need to change. Explain to them what is not working for you and what version of them is not a good, you know, is not a good part to put forward, if that makes any sense. Okay, and then finally, your key to the month in your major arcana card. Look at that. So you get the Hermit card. So you've got a real double hit of this energy here. So a real double hit of mutable energy to start with, and a real double hit of closing energy. So your finances and your money and your materials are going to be quite to the forefront this month. That's going to be something that really kind of that's going to be something that really becomes a big focus for you this month. You're going to, like I said, you'll start to get meticulous about what you want, what you need, but more importantly, what is important to you, and discovering and deciphering, is this a want or is it a need? And more importantly, which of those being fulfilled is going to fulfill me more than anything else. And I say that because sometimes, you know, you can get all the things that you want and not have something that you need, and having that one need still outstanding creates more of an imbalance, because you think, well, how is it that I've got all this stuff that I want, but that one thing that I really genuinely need at a core or a soul level is lacking in my life? You know, sometimes it could be something really small, sometimes it could be really big, but the balance has to be there. You know, in terms of your physical health, this is asking you to really look at your digestive system. It's asking you to look at the foods that you're taking in. It's asking you to get really clear on how you feed yourself, what you feed yourself, and you know, in terms of your digestive system, are you taking care of that aspect? For those of you that are spiritual and into this sort of stuff, this is a time now where you would start to look at working on your solar plexus chakra, you know, which governs your self-power, your self-confidence. It governs your stomach, it governs, you know, your liver even. You know, it's all to do with the things that process all of the digestive, you know, your digestive system itself. So, you know, your intestines, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, all of that, those aspects that are about filtration, that are about taking out nutrients and leaving things behind. You know, what is it time to expel from your life? And what is it time to start getting the most and the best from? Gemini, I wish you an abundance of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance itself. Have an amazing month, and I will see you very soon for more videos and more tarot scopes. Take care.